After hearing that I almost caused an accident and hit someone, my mother, fearing she would be implicated, quickly blocked me. Later, my mother asked for money again. I gave her less than before. She immediately scolded me. Only 3,000 yuan? Are you giving alms to a beggar? This little bit of money isn't even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Other people's children buy houses, cars, and gold and silver for their parents. Why are you so useless? Get out! From now on, don't ever come back. I'll act as if I never had you as a child. I said okay. Spoken words are no proof. Auntie, can you write me a letter of commitment? Bobo Drama wishes you happy reading. 4 years away from home working as a hired laborer, I broke my principle of only reporting good news and not bad news for the first time. It was only because this time, the bad news was that I almost lost my life. That night, while delivering food, to avoid hitting an elderly person who suddenly rushed into the road, I swerved sharply and crashed into the railing of a large bridge. The electric scooter that had been with me for many years hit a large rock under the river and broke into 3 pieces. Unconsciously, I had used one leg to support my body, which was how I escaped the fate of falling into the river with the scooter. While waiting for the police to arrive, watching my calf swell up quickly, my whole body trembled uncontrollably. I didn't dare to imagine what the outcome would have been if I hadn't managed to support myself in time, but the more I tried not to think about it, the more I couldn't help it. The scene of me hitting the rock and being shattered to pieces immediately appeared in my mind. The feeling of fear surged like a tidal wave, and soon my clothes were soaked with cold sweat. It wasn't until I heard my mother's voice that I felt like I had found a warm harbor, and tears immediately streamed down my face. Why are you calling at this hour? It had better be something important. Mom, I had a car accident. I almost hit someone, and the scooter fell into the river. I'm so scared, I almost fell in too. My leg hurts so much, Mom. I recounted the events in a stuttering voice. To be honest, after so many years away from home, I had always considered myself a grown. But when I actually faced such a terrifying accident, I was still as flustered as a child. The moment I called my mother, I just wanted to find a little bit of warmth to dispel this lingering fear. Just like when children fall, adults will hold them in their arms to comfort them and ask questions. Are you okay, my love? Mom will blow on it and the pain will go away. Blowing on it couldn't really relieve the pain, but the child, feeling cared for and loved, would calm down. Because being loved brings this sense of security that makes people no longer afraid. Perhaps in my panic, I had forgotten. My mother had never given me care and love. Or maybe I hadn't forgotten, but I still held on to the illusion that being seriously injured and pathetic enough would arouse her pity. I hadn't even finished telling my story when my mother's voice suddenly rose. What did you say? You hit someone in a car accident. You damn girl, you don't know how to be careful at all when you work. I've told you so many times to pay attention when you're working. You didn't listen, and now you're in trouble. Serves you right. Stop crying, your crying is annoying me, you're a grown up now. Don't expect me to clean up your messes when you get into trouble. If you hit someone, then you deserve to go to jail, and you should pay compensation if you have to. Don't come looking for me with a beeping sound. The phone was disconnected. I was both crying and laughing, looking like a madman. Tears kept falling on the screen. I typed, Mom, I didn't hit anyone, but the message couldn't be sent. A red exclamation mark appeared in the dial-up box. My mother had blocked me. I stared at the screen as if I saw the exclamation mark turn into a red knife and stab straight into my heart. Suddenly, another call came in. I held out hope that it might be my mother and answered the phone. On the other end was a gentle female voice. Hello, I noticed you've been stopped on the bridge for a while. Will my order be delivered on time? I took a deep breath and answered in the clearest voice I could manage. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I had an accident on the way. The scooter and the food all fell into the river. I'll reorder another portion for you or I can give you a refund. I'm really sorry for not letting you know right away. The voice on the other end of the line sounded surprised. Oh, are you okay? The food isn't important. Have you called the police? I have them. The two words not okay were stuck in my throat, unable to come out. The concern I had desperately sought from my own mother was generously given to me by a stranger. Oh, don't cry, don't worry. They'll confirm that I've received the order here. You should go to the hospital quickly. Your health is the most important thing. That night, I cried for a long time. Even the doctor thought I was crying because my leg hurt too much. Only I knew that I was crying for myself. Crying for my own foolishness, crying for my own lowliness, crying because I should have given up on my mother sooner. During my hospital stay, my brother called. After learning that I hadn't hit anyone, he reprimanded me. If you didn't hit anyone, why didn't you call and let Mom know? Don't you know that Mom has been so worried about you these past few days that she couldn't sleep? I remained silent. She had blocked me. How could I let her know? That night, I cried until I had no tears left. It seemed that people become smarter after crying. Now I could easily see that my brother was just saying that to take the moral high ground, to excuses and my mother's cold behavior as my being unfilial. It was very similar to what people on the internet call pure. Lai Wank, you need 3 infusions. The doctor's instructions over the phone reached my brother's ears. He hurriedly said, "Are you in the hospital? If it's nothing serious, you should go to the hospital less. Don't you know that hospitals are money pits? If you have a problem, just find a small clinic to see. Don't be so fragile." For the convenience of the infusion, I couldn't hold the phone, so I had turned on the speaker. The nurse who was giving me the infusion heard my brother's words and her expression stiffened. "Sir, your sister is not suffering from a minor illness. Her leg has a severe fracture and a small clinic can't treat it. Who are you to butt in? Even if it's not my turn, it is now. Your sister needs to rest, and I'm the nurse in charge of making sure no cats or dogs come to disturb her." After speaking, the nurse helped me hang up the phone. After hanging up, she rolled her eyes and muttered in a low voice, "What a scumbag. His sister is injured, and he doesn't even ask about her. Fragile. Fragile my foot." After scolding him, she looked up at me sheepishly. "Oh, sorry, my mouth is faster than my brain. I smell slightly. It's okay, I was going to hang up anyway." But that afternoon, I still didn't get the rest I deserved. My mother had unblocked me. "Mom, you hurt your leg, and you had to have your brother tell me? It's true that raising you was a waste. Why are you so distant from your own mother like this?" I said, "Mom, you blocked me, how could I tell you?" "Mom, how many days do you have to stay in the hospital, and how much will it cost?" Seeing that my mother ignored my question about being blocked, I chose not to answer and angrily threw the phone aside. Although I knew that even if I asked, I wouldn't get a decent answer, I still wanted to hear what excuse she would make up to deceive me. After all, if she still wanted to deceive me, it meant that she still cared about what I would think of her. There was no other way. To help myself survive, I always had to dig up a little bit of love from the small details to comfort myself, and it gradually became a habit. Fortunately, I was ready to change this habit. Seeing that I didn't answer, my mother called directly. I hesitated for a moment before answering, thinking to myself that if she asked about the medical expenses again, I would hang up immediately. Unexpectedly, she was unusually gentle, using a coaxing tone like she was talking to a child. "My dear daughter, when you're discharged from the hospital, come home. Come home to recuperate. Anyway, you're injured and can't work anymore. You've been busy for 4 years, so come home and rest for a few days and let me take care of you. Hearing these words, I couldn't help but pinch myself. Confirming that it wasn't a dream, I answered perfunctorily and then hung up. It wasn't until that afternoon that I realized what I had done. I had refused my mother's offer of reconciliation. I don't know if everyone is like this, only realizing how precious something is when they are about to lose it. Seeing my cold attitude, my mother became even more enthusiastic. Every day, she would call 2 or 3 times, begging me to come home to recuperate. They say it takes 100 days to recover from a bone and muscle injury. When you come home, it'll definitely take good care of you. It'll definitely make your favorite chestnut, stewed chicken. The chickens we raise at home are very good. When you come home, it'll stew them all for you to nourish your body. My father sent a photo of the bedroom. Good daughter, I've already cleaned your room for you. Come on quickly. Looking at the bright, clean room in the picture, with the brand new sheets and comforter set, even this belated warmth made me a little hesitant. I am this kind of person, as long as there is a little bit of warmth, I can't help but lean on it. I know this bad habit is called being emotionally deprived. Fortunately, this time, another voice in my heart spoke up, love that comes late is cheaper than grass. Moreover, my mother's enthusiasm couldn't even be considered deep affection. Before, when she wanted me to give her money to build a new house, she had taken the initiative to promise me a large room. The house had been built for 2 years, and only now did she remember to fulfill her promise. 2 days later, my roommate, Zion, came to visit me. While chatting, she asked me how much longer I had to stay in the hospital, saying that a friend of hers was coming to work and wanted to rent my room. If you're going to be in the hospital for a long time, you can just rent it to her, and you can get some of your money back. The rent is expensive, and you'll probably have to take a few months off work. It's not economical to recuperate in a big city. Hearing her say this, I had to start considering where to recuperate after being discharged. Zion was right. I also knew that she was trying to help me reduce my financial burden by finding a friend to rent my room, and it was not practical for me to go to another city to recuperate. I didn't have much cash on hand. After being discharged and paying all the hospital bills, I would probably only have a few thousand yuan left. Therefore, in my mother's next phone call, based on practical considerations, I agreed to go home to recuperate. After more than a month of treatment, I was discharged. Back at my rented apartment, I packed my luggage with Zion's help. I dragged my leg in its heavy cast, pulling my suitcase onto the train home. After getting off the train at the city center station, I squeezed through the crowd to get on the bus to the county. Sitting in the seat for the disabled, I received a call from my mother. Daughter, your brother is not free to pick you up. You can take the bus home yourself. There's one every half an hour. No expectations, no disappointments. This time I came home, I had discarded all illusions about family affection. I just wanted to recuperate well. I didn't expect my mother to take care of me as she said she would. As long as she didn't leave me wandering on the streets and I had something to eat, that would be enough. In order not to accumulate more disappointment, my request was very low. Except for not picking me up, my mother was as good as her word. She really did stew a chicken for me when I got home. It was just in time for dinner, so I didn't even look at the bedroom and sat down at the dining table. My mother picked up a chicken leg and gave it to me. Eat what you need. You'd eat the chicken leg, and your leg will heal faster. I took the chicken leg, smelling the familiar aroma, and my heart warmed up a little uselessly. Maybe my mother was really ready to love me properly. But the next second, the chicken leg was knocked out of my hand by someone and fell straight into the soup bowl in front of me. The soup splattered all over me. I hadn't even said anything. The culprit who knocked the chicken leg out of my hand burst into tears. Grandma, didn't you say the chicken leg was for Jin Bao? Why did you give it to her? Jin Bao wants to eat the chicken leg. My mother hurriedly stood up, fished out the remaining chicken leg from the bowl, and squatted down beside her grandson. Jin Bao is a good boy. Jin Bao is a dear. You didn't get burnt, did you? How could Grandma not give Jin Bao the chicken leg? This chicken leg is for Jin Bao. My mother solicitously handed the chicken leg to her little grandson. Unexpectedly, the boy cried even louder and waved his hand, sending the chicken leg flying. No, usually both chicken legs are for Jin Bao. One is not enough, not enough. The chicken leg brushed past my sister. Law's hair, making her shout in anger. Lai Jin Bao, be quiet for a moment. My mother was still holding Lai Jin Bao and comforting him. Jin Bao, today you let your aunt have a chicken leg. Your aunt will buy you a big house to live in the future. Does Jin Bao want to live in a big house in the county? Jin Bao stopped crying, and his eyes lit up. Seeing that it was effective, my mother continued, when your aunt buys you a big house, Jin Bao can go to elementary school in the county. Does Jin Bao like the elementary school in the county? Hearing these words, Jin Bao broke free from my mother's arms and grabbed my clothes with his greasy hands. Then you can eat it. It's a deal. You have to buy me a big house in the future. I clenched my fists so tightly that my knuckles turned slightly pale. Seeing me with my head down and not saying anything, my mother gave me a hard push. What are you thinking about? Your nephew is talking to you. S's aunt, hurry up and agree. I looked up and scanned the room. The four people at the table were all seriously waiting for my answer, their eyes full of eager anticipation for the big house. Not a single one of them had any intention of explaining that the matter of buying the house was just a joke to coax a child. I couldn't help but wonder, what did they take me for? A wishing tree or a magic lamp? I was useless. I was a coward. In the past, just a little bit of love could be exchanged for my wholehearted devotion. But I wasn't crazy. And even if I were crazy, I couldn't agree to exchange a chicken leg for a house because I was in no physical condition to agree. My mother, as always, didn't think about me at all. From the moment I walked in, she hadn't asked a single word about the condition of my leg. She didn't think about how I would earn money, how I would live, and how I would continue my life if my leg couldn't fully recover. She only thought about demanding from me. It was as if I wasn't a living being. But I am a person of flesh and blood. Why didn't she love me at all? She didn't give me a bit of concern, yet she still had the audacity to tell me to contribute and sacrifice for her grandson. Oh, that's right, she gave me a chicken leg that her grandson could eat every day. Thinking of this, I was amused. Seeing me holding my stomach and laughing so hard that I slumped onto the table, my brother got angry. What's wrong with you? Mom told you to speak, or are you deaf? Seeing that I still didn't respond, he slammed a hand on the dining table, and the whole table shook 3 times. My ears were also ringing from the shock. My laughter echoed throughout the room. Even though I no longer had any expectations, I was still amazed by their shamelessness. However, a person's value lies in their self-respect. From now on, I will not let others control me, and I will not continue to be a stupid bloodbag. I held my stomach, which was aching from laughing, sat up straight, and wiped away the tear that had flowed from the corner of my eye. I looked at the 4 of them and said word by word, I've said it so many times, if you want to make a wish, go to a temple. They were all listening intently for my answer. Of course, they heard it very clearly. My brother seemed to not believe it and asked a second time. What did you say? I coughed twice, cleared my throat, cupped my hands into a trumpet, put it to my mouth, and said word for word. I said, if you want to make a wish, go to a temple and make a wish. But if you really want a house, be a little more sincere. Exchanging a chicken leg for a house, do you take the Bodhisattva for a fool? This time the sound was loud enough and their faces all turned pale. In the past, I never dared to say a harsh word, always afraid that they would hate me, dislike me, and show an angry face. I loved them, so I was controlled by them. They didn't love me, so they exploited me without a care. Of course, they considered every penny I earned as their property. When they needed me, they would give me a few pleasant looks. When they mistakenly thought I was in trouble, they would immediately block and delete me, fearing they would be implicated. After the last accident, I also saw clearly. They would never treat me as a person in this life. Love is love, not loving is not loving. Now I am free from false love. As for how to treat them in the future, I have decided that however they treat me, I will treat them the same way. In short, I will give them a taste of their own medicine. The three adults, after hearing my wish, making theory, were rarely silent, as if their brains were still processing. The child was much simpler. He understood that I meant I wouldn't buy him a house, and immediately reached out and pinched me. "You bad woman, you won't buy me a house. What the hell are you eating? Get out of my house." After pinching me, he knocked over the soup bowl in front of me. Seeing that the hot soup was about to spill on me, I immediately pulled the nephew who was about to run away and pulled him in front of me. The bowl of soup spilled on both of us. The boy immediately started crying and screaming at the top of his lungs. The sound in my ears was particularly pleasant. Feeling the pain on my thigh, I began to scream at a volume 10 times louder than his. This directly scared him so much that he stopped crying and hurriedly covered his ears. I screamed like a madman. My mother and sister Law surrounded him, pulling him out of my hands to check for burns. "You murderer, shut up! Are you trying to kill someone?" I was very satisfied with my first time giving them a taste of their own medicine. After screaming to my heart's content, I continued to eat. Nothing was more important than filling my stomach. But I had just picked up 2 chopsticks worth of food when my mother stood up and said, "Why are you so useless? Why don't you seize the opportunity to help your nephew? Jin Bao could be a high official in the future. If you help him now, he will take care of you when you're old." What? This time it was really funny. Was this what people on the internet call you kneel down? I'm begging you to work for me. I spread my hands. Right. I'm really useless. Besides, Mom, is my brother still alive? Is it my turn to buy a house for Jin Bao? Wouldn't people laugh at my brother for being incompetent if they heard that? Mom, don't worry anymore. Although my brother isn't earning a single penny now, he will definitely have great achievements in the future. Why would you bypass my brother like that? With a father like my brother, how would a nephew need help from a useless person like me? Does Mom mean that my brother is even more useless than me? My mother's face was visibly panicked, and she hurriedly tried to defend my brother. Tiansai, I didn't mean that. Don't think too much. This damn girl is talking nonsense. I was just joking. My brother said in an unhappy tone, "Eat your food." But I had just picked up 2 chopsticks worth of food when my mother took the plate of food in front of me. I didn't call you back to be a freeloader. Let's be clear. I'm not taking care of you for free either. Everything costs money. If you want to eat, you have to pay first. Seeing that I was not stupid enough to agree to the house matter, she immediately returned to her familiar appearance. This speed was even faster than the face, changing in Sichuan opera, but it was also good that she didn't continue to use the emotional card, which saved me from feeling disgusted. I handed over the paper bag of money in my bag. My mother took it and weighed it twice. My brother and sister, then, like flies that smelled feces, immediately surrounded my mother. My mother took out the money and counted it one by one. Hearing the sound of counting money, 1, 2, 3, I still couldn't help but feel tense. the woman who had put heavy pressure on me for so many years. Although I had told myself time and time again that I didn't need to be afraid, my body's reaction was still fear. The sound of counting money stopped. The sudden silence made my nerves tense. I was still like when I was a child, not daring to look up at my mother's expression. The chair made a shifting sound, and immediately after, my head was hit hard, and my ears rang. I was knocked backward and fell from the chair to the floor. Lying on the ground, I saw my mother's expression. Her eyes were wide, the veins on her forehead were bulging, and she roared angrily. Only 3,000 yuan? Are you giving alms to a beggar? Other people's children buy cars, houses, and wear gold and silver for their parents. You only give this little bit, and you want me to take care of you? It's not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. What sin did I commit to have you humiliate me with this little bit of money? After scolding me, it still wasn't enough. She grabbed my arm and dragged me out into the yard. You go from now on, don't come back! Just pretend I don't have you as a child. I was wearing thin clothes, and my spine scraped painfully against the ground. The courtyard gate was wide open, and there were quite a few people passing by outside. Hearing my mother's screams, they all stopped. My mother pulled so hard that my shirt was pulled up to my chest. Seeing everyone's eyes on me, I hurriedly pulled my shirt down with my other hand. My mother slapped my hand away. What are you covering? You still have the nerve to give me this little bit of money, and now you're ashamed to face people. Everyone, look, my unfilial daughter came home and only gave me 3,000 yuan. Hearing my mother say this, the eyes outside all stared at me with a scrutinizing look. They whispered, their eyes like knives scraping away the last bit of my dignity. Seeing the crowd gathering, my mother patted her knees and began to cry. 2 clear tears rolled down her cheeks. I'm really so unfortunate to have raised a white-eyed wolf like this. I should have had an abortion back then. You're a piece of trash. What's the point of you living? You think that doesn't know how to be filial to your own mother? It'll beat you to death. After speaking, she raised her hand and began to hit me. My mother's tears were probably fake, but the force of her hands was real. Every blow made me suck in a breath of cold air, and my skin ached and burned after being hit. I was 20 years old, and I couldn't count how many times I had been publicly humiliated by my mother like this. In the past, every time I was beaten, I would stand there frozen, not daring to cry or scream, only praying in my heart that my mother's anger would quickly subside. As a child facing someone stronger than me who held my life in their hands, I didn't dare to have the thought of resisting. But now I was different. With each blow, the grievances and resentments that had accumulated over the years exploded. I don't know where the strength came from, but I violently shook off my mother's hand that was tightly gripping me. I staggered to my feet. At this moment, in the eyes of others, I must have been indescribably pathetic. My hair was disheveled, my face was covered in mud, my whole body was covered in vegetable soup, and I even had a limp in one leg, unable to stand steady. But no matter what, I had really stood up. I stared at my mother, who almost fell after I pushed her away, and said seriously, okay, you said it. From now on, just pretend you don't have me as a child. Then what is this? Spoken words are no proof. Can you write me a letter of commitment? Like a chameleon, my mother's face before me turned from green to red. I found my mother really funny. Even now, she still used the words I don't want you as a child anymore to scare me. She didn't even care about my life and death. Why should I care whether she wanted me as a child or not? I also no longer cared about face or filial piety. I turned around and said to the onlookers outside, you all heard it clearly. She was the one who said she wanted to sever ties with me. You are all witnesses. Seeing that I didn't apologize and even sought witnesses, my mother was stunned this time. Because when I was a child, I was almost like a puppy. As long as my mother said she didn't want me anymore, I would immediately surrender unconditionally, frantically apologizing and hugging her leg, begging her, please, please don't abandon me. These past few years, although I worked as a hired laborer outside and wasn't by her side, my attitude towards her was still almost the same as when I was a child. As long as she said a harsh word, I would immediately send a message to explain and then send a red envelope to make her happy. Not only was my mother stunned, but my brother and sister Law were also dumbfounded. After all, they had witnessed me being humiliated by my mother without limits. Every time it ended with me bowing my head and apologizing obsequiously. How could I dare to be like today, not yielding a single word and even fanning the flames? Write it. What are you standing there for? I hopped on one foot to the side of the sofa, took out a notebook and pen from the boy's school bag. The boy screamed and rushed at me again. Don't touch my things. I pushed him away with force, accompanied by a fierce look. The look made him retreat continuously. I shook the notebook in my hand and said loudly, what do you mean? Your things? Your parents live on my money every month. From the clothes you wear to every brick and tile in this house, it was all built with the money I earned through my blood and sweat. There's nothing here that's yours. You little bastard, even your mother's wedding debt was paid by me. Logically speaking, I paid for your mother's wedding, and I paid to raise you. Any real father. Yeah, better. Before I could finish my sentence, I was slapped across the face, and my head was knocked to the side. My brother rubbed his stinging palm. Lai Wang, you dare to be so presumptuous. Today, I will teach you a lesson in place of our deceased father. Feeling the sweet and metallic taste in my mouth, my anger rose another level. Today, if I didn't pay back all the grievances I had suffered, I wouldn't be human anymore. I gathered my strength and spat all the blood and saliva in my mouth onto my brother's face. I spit on you. You still have the nerve to mention Dad. The truth about my father's death, my mother made me swear to keep it to myself for my brother's sake. This slap has completely severed our brother-sister relationship. I don't need to cover for him anymore. If not, he would have dared to teach me a lesson in the name of our father today. People who don't know would think he's a great filial son. I limped out into the yard and shouted at the crowd. Aunts and uncles, do you know how my father, Light Aping, died back then? Someone answered. Wang Nizzy, didn't your father die from a failed surgery? Have you forgotten about this? I pretended to be mysterious and shook my head. Wrong, it's all wrong. My father died because... A piercing scream came from behind, drowning out my voice. Don't say it. My mother rushed to my side. I beg you, Wang, I'll kneel down to you. You absolutely can't say it. Seeing my mother pretending to kneel beside me, I asked suspiciously, what is this? What does telling my father's story have to do with you? In the past, I always thought that the family was a whole, and it was not good for the family to let outsiders know about the dirty laundry in the house. But I treated them as a whole, while they casually belittled me and manipulated me in front of outsiders, trying to use the so-called favor of raising me to bind me, and at the slightest provocation, they wanted to turn me into an unfilial daughter despised by the world. Whether I was filial or unfilial depended entirely on my mother's one-sided words. Every month I transferred 5,000 yuan, plus shopping and kind inquiries, but it still didn't make her as happy as 2 taels of meat my brother brought home. My birth was an accident to her, so I must be unfilial. Besides, now whoever likes to be filial can be filial. The favor of raising me has been paid off, and even if it hasn't been paid off, I won't pay it anymore. Anyway, in their mouths, I will never be a good person, so I might as well be a complete villain. What a villain should do is take revenge. To hurt a person, you have to stab them where it hurts the most. Although my mother's precious treasure is still in the process of changing, I'll hurt whoever I can. Several people rushed out to stop my mother from kneeling. Han Hyo, what are you doing? Your daughter just wants to tell us how Dabing died. What are you going crazy for? Could it be that Daping was killed by you? A story told halfway is the most itching thing. If I don't finish speaking today, there will be hundreds of endings fabricated tomorrow. Anyway, I have already separated myself. Now it just depends on whether my mother protects herself or my brother. My mother was held by the arms by two people, and she shook her head in panic, trying to explain. No. How could I harm my husband? Then why are you acting like you've been stepped on? Just let your daughter speak. Just let her talk and see what lies she wants to make up. My brother wiped the blood from his face, his eyes angry as he looked at me, as if he thought I was digging my own grave. At this time, my mother's eyebrows were almost twisted into a knot. She pursed her lips tightly and continued to look at me with pleading eyes. I ignored her and turned to the crowd. You have all seen the news about children stealing tens of thousands of yuan from their parents to top up games, right? Someone answered, I've seen it. In our village, there's also a child who used his mother's phone to give gifts to a streamer, spending 50,000 yuan. Fortunately, the platform returned it in the end. But he's just a child, over 10 years old. He doesn't know what that amount of money means. I nodded at the aunt who was speaking. You're right, auntie. If a child doesn't understand, we can let it go. But what if an adult does something like that? And what if they steal life? Saving medical money? How should that be dealt with? The aunt and everyone else answered me enthusiastically. He deserves to die. What a scumbag. If I met him, I'd break his legs. Seeing everyone's reaction, I tilted my head slightly and pointed my finger at my brother. Everyone, such a person is right in front of you. My brother was first surprised to look at me, then seemed to understand, and a look of panic appeared on his face. Back then, everyone knew that my brother once ran away to join the underworld for a while, right? At that time, my brother not only left, but before he left, he also took all the money in the house, including my father's surgery money, and gave it all to his gangster boss as a tribute. A man with a large scar on his head came out of the crowd. He was my brother's close childhood friend. Damn it. No wonder you had tens of thousands of yuan to curry favor with Brother Hai back then. It turns out you stole Uncle Daping's life. Saving money. With the testimony of others and the guilty look on my brother's face, several uncles who used to have a good relationship with my father rushed out of the crowd, kicked my brother to the ground, and then grabbed him by the collar and pulled him up to continue hitting him. You bastard! We have to teach you a lesson for your father. Seeing the fist about to land on his face, my brother struggled and shouted. Ignorance is not a crime. I didn't know it was my father's life. Saving money. If I had known, I definitely wouldn't have taken it. Hearing this, I no longer felt the lameness in my leg. I quickly rushed into the encirclement and slapped my brother hard across the face. You're talking nonsense. When you took the money, I cried and hugged your leg, telling you it was Dad's life. Saving money. You told me he was a useless old man who should die early. At that time, my brother was only thinking about his bright future, carrying the courage of someone who would block and kill anyone in his way. In short, whoever stood in the way of his wealth was his enemy. You're talking nonsense. He tensed up and shouted halfway, then seemed to remember something and went limp. How ridiculous. He had even forgotten that I had tried to stop him back then. And I had tormented myself for so many years for not being able to stop him from stealing the money. Even my mother later blamed me. You said you stopped your brother. Why couldn't you stop him? Useless thing. I had really engraved these words deep in my heart. After my father passed away, I returned to that day countless times in my dreams, trying to stop my brother in different ways. This became my psychological shadow. And my brother, the culprit, had long forgotten about it, and even pretended to be righteous and used my father's name as an excuse to assault me. Seeing that my brother couldn't defend himself, everyone swung their fists at him again. The men who did heavy labor usually had great strength, and they also carried personal emotions. Soon, my brother was beaten until he vomited blood and begged for mercy loudly. I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm an animal. I'm a scumbag. Please stop hitting me, uncles. The uncles became even angrier when they heard this. You're not like a man at all. Why aren't you as strong as when you hit your sister? You scumbag who only knows how to bully women. Then they slapped my brother hard across the face several times. The sound of slaps and my brother's moans were like a divine symphony echoing in my ears. But soon someone broke this harmony. My mother rushed in crying and screaming, hugging my brother on the ground, and resolutely raised her face to shout at the people. Enough! Have you hit him enough? If you've vented your anger, then let it go. It's been so many years. This can't be blamed on TSCNHI. It was Light Daping's fate. He was destined to be like that. You can only blame him for being born with that disease. The burly men, seeing my mother protecting her son like this, were also too embarrassed to continue hitting him. How could I let this end so easily? I was so busy taking revenge on my brother that I almost forgot the source of this suffering. Mom, what do you mean, my father's fate? If you hadn't stopped my father from borrowing money for treatment, my father might still be alive now. At that time, after my brother ran away, my mother, for the sake of my brother's honor, desperately prevented my father from borrowing money. She said, everyone knows you had savings before you got sick, and now you are borrowing money. People will definitely ask where the money went. What will you say? To let people know that Tansai stole the money, how will Tansai face people in the future? Besides, Tansai said he could make money by following the gangster boss. You just wait for Tansai to come back and give you a good life. She even locked my sick father and me in the house, afraid that we would accidentally reveal the news and ruin her good son's reputation. My father was dragged on like this until he died. The ants turned red. Eyed after hearing this and squeezed to the front. You men can't do it, let us. Hanhua, how could you be so wrong? Daping was such a good person, and you cut off his lifeline for that son of yours. Your heart is too poisonous. What reputation is more important than life? My mother was grabbed by the hair by several ants and pulled away from my brother. She screamed in pain. I'm not wrong. What did I do wrong? You are not me who has ever thought about me. That disease of Lie Daping's, even if he had surgery, he wouldn't be able to do heavy work later. You tell me to borrow money to treat him. Who will pay back the loan? You tell me who will pay this money back. You all talk so nicely. Why didn't you bring the money to my house back then? Now you come to bully me, saying I'm vicious. If I wasn't a little vicious, I would have been dragged to my death by him. My mother went crazy and broke free from the hands of the people, beating her chest and shouting, if you don't fend for yourself, heaven and earth will destroy you. Seeing this scene, I realized how foolish I had been. In the past, I thought my mother loved my brother so much that she did such foolish things. It turned out that she had long thought of abandoning my father, but she still blamed me for not being able to stop my brother, which caused her to lose her husband. Later, she often complained that if my father were still alive, she would not have to live so miserably. This made me try even harder to earn money just to fill the gap left by my father. My mother's speech silenced the crowd. Everyone looked at each other, not daring to believe that my mother was so heartless. My mother thought that everyone was suppressed, and she stood with her hands on her hips like a majestic rooster, continuing to shout her life's manifesto. If you don't fend for yourself, heaven and earth will destroy you. Suddenly, a trembling old woman walked out of the crowd. My mother was surprised and stopped, calling out softly, Mom. The person who came was my maternal grandmother. My grandmother walked up to my mother and raised the cane in her hand to beat my mother. They'll beat you for that if you don't fend for yourself. Heaven and earth will destroy you. According to you, back then everyone said they couldn't raise you. Should I have drowned you for my own sake? How well did Daping treat you? Back then, when the flood happened, he had clearly been rescued. He risked his life to come back and save us, mother and daughter. If it weren't for Daping, we would have died long ago. When Daping risked his life to save you, why didn't you say to Daping, if you don't fend for yourself, heaven and earth will destroy you? Honghuo, we are human, not animals. How can you say such heartless words? The surge of emotions made my grandmother's voice tremble. But my grandmother was over 80 years old. Due to excessive emotion and anger, she clutched her chest and almost fainted. Seeing this, I hurriedly stepped forward to support my grandmother and help her regulate her breathing, but I was fiercely pushed away by my mother. It's all your fault. If you hadn't insisted on saying it, why would your grandmother be so angry? If something happens to your grandmother, you will have to pay with your life. After my grandmother's breathing stabilized, my mother saw my grandmother's lips moving and hurriedly leaned her ear to listen. After hearing clearly, she turned her head away in embarrassment. The ant standing nearby also heard clearly and pushed my mother to the ground with force. Honghyue, your mother said this has nothing to do with Wang Nizi. She said it's your fault and told you to get lost. Seeing that my grandmother was about to faint, the village chief stepped out. Everyone, disperse. If this continues, there might be a murder. The village chief had prestige, and everyone showed signs of dispersing. My brother carefully got up. Seeing the uncle next to him about to swing his hand before leaving, he hugged his head in fear and immediately pointed at my mother and said, hit her, hit her. It was she who refused to lend my father money for treatment and caused his death. It wasn't me, my mother had just gotten up from the ground. Hearing this, she almost went crazy with anger. She rushed in front of my brother and began to scratch him frantically. If it wasn't for you, you unfilial son, who took your father's life. Saving money, there wouldn't have been so much trouble. I even helped you hide it for so many years, afraid that telling the truth would make you regret it and feel uncomfortable. I thought about you everywhere, but you'd treat me like this. My heart was really fed to the dogs. My brother's face and body were covered in scratches. He finally got angry and pushed my mother down to the ground. Who asked you to help me hide it? Did I beg you to help me hide it? You wanted to do it yourself. Besides, if you hadn't kept it from me and made me forget everything, I wouldn't have given Lai Wang a chance to speak today. In the end, it was you who harmed me, made me lose face, and got me beaten up. The more my brother spoke, the angrier he became. He took off his extremely dirty jacket and slammed it on the ground to vent his anger. My mother sat helplessly on the ground, her whole body covered in the dust stirred up by my brother's jacket. Her face was as gray as ashes, and large tears rolled down the corners of her eyes. Seeing this scene, I truly felt liberated. I smiled again. My mother's life is so pitiful, so pathetic. The person she loves doesn't care about her at all. After removing the filter of my love, she is almost a pathetic madwoman. In the past, I loved her just because she was my mother. I naturally longed for her care and love. But deep down, I also hated her. I hated her for always ignoring me, neglecting me. I hated her even more for treating me harshly for so many years, making my life a mess. When I realized that she would never love me, I had once thought of sacrificing myself to drag her life into hell. But now it seems unnecessary. Her life is already a pile of ruins after my love is withdrawn. In the future, the two of them, who are always stabbing each other in the back, will definitely become each other's hell. And I will not waste another second on them. I didn't watch them fight like dogs anymore. I turned and went back into the house, picked up the crutch from the ground, and then went to get the 3,000 yuan on the table. My sister. La saw me taking the money and reached out to stop me. I raised my arm as if to hit her, and she hugged her face and backed away. I tucked the money away, pulled my suitcase, and before I left, I said to the kid, "Lai Jinbao, your father is leaving. You just wait to live a good life." I kicked the chicken leg on the ground towards him. "I advise you to eat it. You won't have many chances to eat chicken legs in the future." My brother was lazy and greedy, and my sister Law didn't have a stable job. They would have a lot of hardship to taste in the future. I turned to thank the uncles who had been standing outside, afraid that I would be retaliated against by my brother, and then I walked quickly towards the village entrance without looking back. When I reached the village entrance, I felt lost because I didn't know where to go. While I was wondering if I should find a small city with low prices to stay for a while, I received a call from my roommate, Zion. "What's the name of your old village?" "I don't have an old village anymore. Don't be crazy." "Then where are you now?" "Liquin Village. Why are you asking this?" "Wait for me at the village entrance. They'll look at the map. It'll be there in half an hour." Wait for me. Anyway, I didn't know where to go, so I just sat at the village entrance and wondered where I would recuperate in the future. Half an hour passed in a flash. Two luxury cars that I didn't recognize but looked very expensive parked in front of me. As soon as the car stopped, Sion jumped out. "Oh my God, did you come back from a battle? Why are you in such a state?" I scratched my head in embarrassment. "It was something like that. It was my personal liberation war." I glanced at the luxury car and asked curiously, "Did you get accepted back into a rich family?" Sion wiped the mud from my face. "Why are you suddenly so fond of joking? Let's get down to business first. This is Annie Wang. She wants to see you." "Oh." Aged woman dressed elegantly got out of the car behind Zion. In the following conversation, I learned that this woman was the daughter of the old lady I almost hit in the accident. I didn't expect that she had come here personally to compensate me. Logically speaking, I could have demanded compensation after the accident, but at that time, I saw that the old lady was not lightly injured when she fell, so I didn't dare to mention compensation with her family. After all, I had chosen to swerve. I also didn't know if I would be able to successfully demand compensation. Moreover, I was afraid that I would be ordered to pay an additional amount for the old lady's medical expenses. In the car, Annie Wang said, "I'm sorry for only finding you now. I was abroad before and only recently learned about the accident. My mother has Alzheimer's disease. That day, she had an episode and got lost on the bridge, which is why she rushed out in front of your car and caused you to break your leg. To compensate, I am willing to pay for your future rehabilitation costs, as well as 2 years of lost wages in compensation for mental distress." Auntie Wang came to find me personally because she really felt uneasy. She said she had watched the surveillance video and knew that I had almost lost my life. "You are a good child. You got injured because you didn't want to hit my mother. Perhaps this is what they call bitterness ends and sweetness begins." I followed Annie Wang's arrangements and moved to a rehabilitation center. There was a lot of free time at the rehabilitation center. I bought books and prepared to self-study for the adult college entrance examination. My academic performance was not bad before. If it weren't for my mother saying that the family pressure was too great and luring me to work as a hired laborer outside, I would have been able to get into a good university. When Annie Wang came to visit me and saw that I was studying, she kindly helped me hire a teacher. I accepted. I couldn't find any reason to refuse things that were good for me. The injury on my leg recovered very well. Except for some strenuous activities that I couldn't do, I could run and jump normally. During my recovery, I canceled my old phone number and the bank card that I used to transfer money to them. My mother and brother could no longer contact me. But I still heard news about them because a girl from the same village who worked outside happened to meet me and tell me. She said that after I left, my mother even wanted to find a television station to look for her relatives, wanting to find me and bring me back. As soon as the people from the television station arrived, they were surrounded by the villagers. They took turns accusing my mother and brother to the reporter, telling them everything, and then said that I was a good child who not only helped the family build a house but also transferred money. They said I was beaten by them when my leg was lame and was forced to leave. If the television station dared to help them find me, the television station would be doing an evil thing. The reporter was a reasonable person. After hearing what everyone said, he was about to leave. You don't know, your mother even wanted to stop the reporter. As a result, the reporter said, "If you stop me again, I will broadcast everything you and your son have done." The major I chose for the adult college entrance examination was International Economics and Trade because Andy Wang's company's main business is international trade. After understanding my family situation, she said that I was very suitable to be sent abroad to help her manage her overseas business. It was because I no longer had any ties in the country. She wanted a close person who knew her background over there. I also know your abilities very well. You just have to study hard and get your foreign language certificate early. After you graduate, you can go abroad to help me, in order not to disappoint Annie Wang and to realize my dream. In the following days, I almost forgot myself in studying and working. During this time, I heard many more things about my mother and my brother. My brother got divorced. My sister. Law took my mother's precious Lai Jinbao and married someone else. He shouldn't be called Lai Jinbao anymore. Now it seems his name has been changed to Chen Jinbao. I'm really curious what my mother's expression would be when she finds out about this. After my sister. Law left, my mother and brother even went to the city where I worked when I first left home to find me. Their indifference to me helped me. After that, I moved to many places to work. They had never asked me where I was, so now even if they wanted to catch me, they couldn't find the right place. However, in the end, they still found my permanent residence, but at that time, I happened to be on a business trip abroad with Annie Wang. They waited for a whole week without seeing me, and they had no money on them, so they had to go back dejectedly. Time flew by. I had received my diploma and had been abroad with Annie Wang many times. My English-speaking ability was excellent, and now I could act on my own. On a sunny day, I boarded a plane to my own future. Before I left, I used my mobile phone in the country to send a final message to my mother and brother. To my mother, I am really grateful to you for treating me that way on the day of the accident. If it weren't for your coldness, I wouldn't have such a bright future. I sincerely thank you. Attached was a picture of my account balance. To make my mother miserable, I had to let her know how much money I had now. The amount in the picture was enough for her to beat her chest in regret every day for blocking me that day. She knew that if she hadn't blocked me, my money would definitely still be the same as before, all given to her. To my brother. Brother, have you ever thought that the reason you are so unsuccessful now is actually entirely due to Mom's excessive spoiling of you? If Mom had been strict with you, would you have failed so miserably? You are actually very capable. It's all because Mom ruined you. What a pity! Sometimes I wonder if Mom did it on purpose, so that you would only stay by her side forever if you failed. Mom did that because she loves you too much. Alas, how pitiful are the hearts of parents under heaven. For someone with a shifting personality like my brother, a few words were enough. Anyway, he always thought that his failure was someone else's fault. Tossing away the SIM card, I smiled brightly and walked into the waiting room. I really couldn't help but waste another minute on them. But what's wrong with being a little bad sometimes? Life has to have some spice to be interesting. Epilogue. In the remote village of Liquin, it was just noon when Sister Chen and her family helplessly took out their earplugs. Sister Chen's husband said with a pained expression. Why did it start so early today? Who knows? Since that girl Wang Mizzy left, their family has never been quiet. They quarrel and fight every day. Who can stand it? Alas, let's hurry up and earn money and move out soon. As they were talking, the screaming got louder and louder. Help, they are going to beat me to death. The nearby villagers were used to it. No matter how loud the screaming outside was, no one would step out of their house to see. An old woman in ragged clothes ran barefoot onto the village road. She ran without daring to look back. After making sure that no one was chasing her, she sat down on the ground and wiped her tears. But as soon as her hand touched the corner of her eye, her whole face wrinkled up. Her eye sockets were bruised, and it was clear that she had been beaten. She took out the phone hidden in her bosom and kept composing messages. Daughter, I love you. Come back and visit me. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Only you are good to me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have hit you before. After each message was a dazzling exclamation mark. But the woman muttered to herself, she'll definitely come back to pick me up when she sees it. Definitely. A voice came from behind her. So the phone is with you. A man with a bloody face snatched the phone. The woman hit the man to get the phone back. That's my last bit of money. You can't touch it, you can't transfer it. The man turned his head and asked the woman, Old woman, what's the password? Seeing that the woman didn't speak, he smiled triumphantly. Even if you don't tell me, I know. It must be my birthday. Seeing that the password on the screen was correct, his eyes lit up a little, and he was thinking in his heart that he finally had money. Suddenly, a warm liquid flowed down his head. He turned his head to look at his short mother who was holding a brick, and then the man closed his eyes and fell to the ground, and never got up again. Thank you for listening to the story at Bobo Drama. Remember to like and subscribe so we can meet again in the next stories.